My name is Kasha Semel, and I'll be talking about Call Me Hope by Gretchen Olson. Okay. Chapter 18, Name It and Tame It. Mrs. Nelson, our school counselor, stood in front of the classroom and slipped paper bag Patty over her hand. The puppet was freshly colored with crayon yellow hair, black eyes, and a smiley red mouth. A big purple heart covered her brown chest. Remember first grade? Sitting in a circle on the floor, passing around paper bag Patty? Mrs. Nelson's own black eyes moved from face to face, her pink mouth serious. Yeah, said Noelle. We crumpled her every time we said something that hurt her feelings. Like what? Said Mrs. Nelson, bobbing Patty's head in time with her words. Moron, said Colin Davis. Mrs. Nelson grabbed Patty's purple heart and squished it tight. Pimple face, said Annette. Again, Mrs. Nelson twisted and wrinkled the puppet's body. Loser, fatty, dork, came the names along with more crushes and creases. Stupid, I said with my own heart squeezing tight, sending a silent sorry to Patty. By now you couldn't see any of the colors, just this brown, wadded clump like a used lunch sack about to be tossed in the garbage. Then we tried to smooth out the lines, said Mrs. Nelson, by saying nice things like smart, awesome, cool. Mrs. Nelson's fingers massaged Patty's heart, head, and body, unable to completely erase the wrinkles. What was left behind? Slime, said Brody. Right, said Mrs. Nelson, removing Patty, setting her on Mr. Hudson's desk. Hurting words? Or slugs that slime our hearts? What else? Scars. I felt my mouth move and heard the word as if it had helped itself out. Mrs. Nelson looked at me for a moment, then took a deep breath and placed her hands on her hips. As sixth graders, you are ready to call hurting, sliming, scarring words what they really are. She paused. Everyone got extra quiet and leaned forward, waiting to share the sixth grade secret. Abuse. It's verbal abuse. Now her right hand jabbed the air above our heads. Verbal abuse is as damaging as physical abuse, or worse. It takes 25 to 30 positive comments to overcome the effects of one abusive comment. The scars from verbal abuse run just as deep, if not deeper, than physical scars. With her strong words still hanging in the air, she assured us with softer words that it was important to properly name something. When you name it, you tame it. It's like putting a fence around a wild animal, so you're safe to learn about it. Then she gave us words to help in abusive situations. I feel words, asking for a change words. An hour later, I stood in front of him, next to New, staring at my reflection against green shamrocks. I couldn't think about St. Patrick's Day, though with Mrs. Nelson's abuse word in my head. Why did she wait until sixth grade to tell us? Little kids should know that hurting words are not only slimy and scarring, but abusive. I'd always liked Mrs. Nelson, but now I felt a knot of anger in my stomach. She should have told me sooner. Okay, Call Me Hope is a story about an 11-year-old girl named Hope, who has a verbal abusive mother, and she deals with it, or tries to deal with it, not very successfully until she meets up with a counselor and realizes that what she's going through is actually abuse. Hope tries her hardest to please her mother. She's a really good student, very bright girl, which is why she doesn't understand why her mother is always putting her down. When we think about abuse, it's not only physical abuse, which is why I think this book is important for tweens and adults dealing with tweens to read, because we need to be aware of verbal abuse. If you do like this book, or similar books to Call Me Hope, is When You Reach Me by Rebecca Steed, Fire Girl by Tony Abbott, and Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. I hope you will pick this book up and enjoy it soon. Thanks.